Hey up everyone, Magpie Gaming here. I hope you're all doing well. So in this video we're going to discuss the hardware partner that has been announced for the Starfield game. Now hardware partners might be a little bit of a strange thing for you guys on the console. So your hardware is pretty static, you can't change much about it. So hardware partners haven't always really been a thing on the console. It's been more for us PC guys where we get hardware partners for various games. Now if you've been around for quite a while in PC gaming, you will remember the splash screens that you used to get at the start of games, and it'd say something like powered best by or runs best on, and then it'd be either nvidia or AMD. Every now and again you'd get an Intel splash screen thrown in there for good measure as well. And basically this is when companies bring on board people from these companies to tweak the game code so that it works best on their hardware. Now this by no means pushes the other competing technologies out. Obviously PC games have to work on all technologies, otherwise what's the point of putting them on the PC? But they can be tweaked just to work a little bit better on certain hardware, and this is what's happening with Starfield. So they've brought AMD in, which is no surprise given that the Xbox Series X and S both run on AMD hardware. They run on AMD CPUs and AMD GPUs, so bringing AMD in to get the very best out of the code on that platform makes sense. And also on the PC, obviously you've got a lot of AMD users out there, so FSR 2.0 has been put into the game and is getting tweaked to bring out the very best of the game for the AMD users. But, and I don't want to get into the whole fanboyism things here with who's got the better graphics cards, AMD or nvidia, the fact of the matter is that there are more people using nvidia than there are AMD. Like I say, not getting into the fanboyism, not going to say that there aren't some good AMD cards out there, because there are just more of us using nvidia tech than there are AMD. So for the nvidia users with the Starfield version on the PC, are we going to be missing out? Well, we could be a little bit here. So FSR 2.0 does indeed work with nvidia cards. It's been made open source by AMD so that it can be used by nvidia users, but the mileage that you get out of it may vary. Obviously it's not specifically set up for nvidia cards, so how good of a result you get from it is going to vary from machine to machine. It's not specifically set up for the nvidia cards, so we may struggle a little bit. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. Like I say, it does for the console versions. They run exclusively on AMD hardware, and there are a lot of people out there on the PC that are using exclusively AMD hardware, but there are a hell of a lot more of us that aren't, and we're going to be missing out on some pretty important tech here. Now I'm not going to get into the ray tracing side of things. Obviously Starfield, being the amazing looking game that we've already seen it to be, would benefit from ray tracing. Definitely it would look amazing, but the mileage you get out of ray tracing is very variable depending on the setup that you have. I'm sure a lot of you out there will have seen Cyberpunk running on 4090s with ray tracing on, and the frame rate getting absolutely pummeled because it just can't give you the visuals out of this that you really want to get. You know, it struggles with the ray tracing on, and I still think ray tracing altogether is a very young tech. It's still in its infancy. It's got a long way to go before it's the de facto thing that we all turn on. Indeed, 4K gaming just hasn't got to where a lot of hardware manufacturers want it to be. The vast majority of people are still gaming at 1080p. You know, 1440p is the sweet spot for many, but 1080p is still, you know, where a lot of people want to go. You get the best performance at that resolution out of games. So ray tracing is one of those things that will be adopted by the mainstream in the future, but for now it's still in its infancy. You don't really get a lot out of it. But when it comes to other tech that nvidia can drop in there, you've got DLSS 3.0. obviously this is the biggie. This will give you a lot of graphical fidelity even on lower end rigs and really boost up the image quality that you get. You've also got nvidia reflex, which probably isn't really needed in Starfield. That's more for multiplayer games because it torts up your latency from your input. So input like from your keyboard and your mouse is drastically reduced using that tech. Even more so if you use their official hardware list, which I think some of that is extremely expensive. But even if you're not using the official list, you can still use that technology and just reduce your input lag slightly. And you've also got frame generation, which I've been currently using on Diablo 4, and it works really well. If I crank everything to the maximum on my 4070 in Diablo 4, I'm getting usually between between 90 and 110 FPS, drop on frame generation, and it shoots up to 150 FPS. So, and the visuals look amazing in that game. You can't tell that it's been, you know, you're having these frames injected into the game. So that's another one that we would be missing out on. So like I say, it by no means means that we won't be able to play the game. We're just not going to get the very best out of it. I find it very strange that a big studio like Bethesda is going down this route. Now I know that they're being told what they've got to do by Microsoft. They're not really able to put nvidia stuff in since AMD have been brought on board, but I'm hoping at some point they will add it into the game. I think it's a massive loss for them not putting it into the game. Like I say, there's more nvidia users out there than there are AMD, and we're going to be missing out on some things that will give us the best visuals out of that game. Now I've seen a lot of comments online recently when this story broke that modders will just add this in, which is great. So some people are saying even within the first week we might actually be able to have it modded in by somebody. Whether or not it's going to work great for us or not, I don't know, because it's not going to be put in there specifically by the game company. It's just going to be modded in by fans, but we'll wait and see. But like I say, it's a strange one for me. There's no reason at all why this game can't support both competing technologies and just cater to everybody out there rather than sectioning off sort of one section of the crowd. Basically, nvidia users are going to be at a slight disadvantage. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this news. I'm really hoping that Bethesda sort of has a little about turn on this and decides to add in the nvidia tech. They don't have to bring nvidia on board to do this. They can simply just get hold of the tech and drop it in so that we will at least get something more out of the game. But for now, it looks like any nvidia options are just not going to exist in the game for us guys right now. So yeah, as I say, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this news. I think it's a bit of a loss for Bethesda, I really do. I think cutting out one section of the crowd, I don't really see the need for it. You know, I mean, I can go to Battlestate Games with Escape from Tarkov and they bake in the both sides. They've got FSR and they've got DLSS available in their games. So why can't Bethesda do the same? A massive game studio. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully they will add support in later down the line. But as I say, let me know what you think about this. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more Starfield content. I will be following the game intently over the next couple of months. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.